I've gotten over 20 million views on TikTok, and I'm saying don't chase the views. If you don't believe me, for whatever reason, you can look at my TikTok. It's at ProvComedy. I have 3.2 million likes. On average, like 10% of views are gonna be likes, so it's probably more like 30 million, but I said 20 million, so I'm not exaggerating, right? So what I'm saying is don't chase the views, because you could get pigeonholed based on the type of content that you're making. Like, I live in Los Angeles, and so many people, they kind of just make the same thing because they see that a video gets views, and then they make the same thing over and over again, and then they get pigeonholed into this this one type of content, and then they want to stop making videos because they're not feeding the part of themselves that's like creative, that actually wants to make these videos. They're feeding what the audience wants. So instead of doing what they truly want to do, they're just doing what the audience wants. So what you have to do is you have to find the balance. You have to find the type of content that you like making, that your audience likes as well. So how you do that is you follow your passions. You actually talk about the things that you want to talk about. And it's okay to repeat yourself. Like, sometimes I repeat myself in these videos because that's part of a business. It's part of building a brand. So you find the things that work and you repeat those things for sure, but you also try the things that are new to you. So you don't want to chase the views. You don't want to chase the views because the reason people follow you is more important than the fact that they follow you. Like, I know so many creators who they blew up their accounts by making like 6-second videos, right? And then they get upset when they make 1 minute long videos and no one watches them. It's because, yeah, your audience is so used to making 6-second videos. And that's the nice thing about long form YouTube videos. It's like someone who can watch like a 7-10 minute video, they have the attention span to probably watch an hour-long video. But someone with a 6-second attention span is probably not going to watch a minute-long video. So it's you want to go after the audience that likes the videos that you like to create. So don't chase the views. Make sure you're looking at why people are following your account, because the reason people follow you is more important than the fact that they follow you. Like, someone who follows you because you're like, man, I told this really great story and it was inspirational and it really made someone change their perspective about their day. That person will be a much more loyal follower than someone who just sees that you hopped on a trend and you made a 6-second video and did a dance. The person who's more moved and inspired by your video will be a more loyal follower, and that'll be someone who's more likely to buy your products if you're looking to have some sort of business. But it's also just more of an impact, right? Because ultimately, what's the point of doing this? What's the point of giving advice? It's for people to use the actual advice. So it's you want to make sure that you're focusing on not just getting views. It's not gonna take you that far. Yeah, of course, in the short term you'll get the followers, maybe you'll make a little bit of money from it, but you wanna find what's sustainable to you. And that brings me to my second point, which is to not niche down too much. Although I'll make an exception here. If you need money in the short term, you really need money right now, then you want to be as niche as possible, because in the short term it allows you the flexibility of just selling a product or service just in that one niche. But if you want to do this for a while, then you don't want to be too niche down. You want to be able to talk about your own passions, and it's you have a core message of your YouTube channel or your TikTok, but then you talk about different niches within that message, right? So for me, it's getting over the fear of other people's opinions. I would say that's the core of my channel, is getting over the fear of other people's opinions. So I talk about overthinking, being an introvert, and letting those doubtful thoughts hold you back from putting yourself out there, posting on social media, making friends. These things are all around getting over the fear of people's opinions. So that's the core message of my channel. So you want to have some sort of core message like that and make it unique to you and your experiences. So once you have the core message, you kind of talk about different things within this. So I'll tell stories about my experience posting on social media, or sometimes I'll talk about going to the gym, or friendships. So it's things that are relevant to you, but are still centered around your core message. So that's how you don't get too niche down. That's how you make it more fun for you. That's how you make it so that you can keep creating videos without always having to repeat yourself. Of course, sometimes you're going to repeat yourself, and that's actually beneficial to the viewer, because you've probably watched 1,000 videos in the past week, right? So not just YouTube videos, but also TikTok, Instagram. But it's helpful to be reminded of whatever the core message is of the creator that you're following. So that's the second point, is to not be too niche. And then the third point is to tell unique stories. Talk about your experience, because there's so much advice on the internet, but there's certain things and stories that are just specific to you. Like for me, saying like, oh, talking about like making a comedy Instagram and TikTok, like that is pretty unique. Like I don't know that many people who have a comedy TikTok. Like you probably haven't watched a self-development video from someone who's a comedian. Like maybe Mark Manson is another person. He used to be a comedian, but generally speaking, like there's not that many people who are comedians who are also talking about self-help, right? So these are the things I like to talk about. Same thing for you. There's certain interests and stories that you have that are unique to you that you could talk about, and that's the reason why people will follow you. Because a lot of like advice on that people are saying, it can be kind of generic, but the reason people follow other people is like they like their stories, their insights, and their like unique perspective. So that's the next point. And then I think the final point I have, I'm just looking at my notes here. The final point I have for you is to post every day. Like when you're first starting out on these platforms, maybe you want to make a TikTok or a YouTube channel, try and post every day, because this will do a couple things. Number one, it'll get you over the fear of rejection, the fear of people's judgment. That is the number one thing that holds people back. People are scared of pressing post, but pressing post of and in itself is a skill. Pressing post of and in itself is a skill. Why? Because so many people don't do it. So many people are afraid of people's judgment, so they never post a video. Like so many people wait a year to post their first video, a year. Whereas like if you posted every day for a year during that time, you would be really good speaking on camera, coming up with ideas for videos. Like your videos by the end of the year will be so much better than your first video. Because if you get 1% better every day, by the end of the year, you become 37 times better. Not 37%, 3,700%. I repeat this pretty often, but it's like, it's so important to realize that, because you don't have to like get drastically better overnight. You just have to be consistent in trying to improve. So that's the first thing you'll do. It'll help you get over the fear of people's judgment. The next thing you'll do is it'll become part of your routine. It'll become part of your identity. And then once it's part of your routine and part of your identity, it becomes a lot easier because you build momentum. So it's really important to post every day, or as much as you can. And then the third thing it'll do is you'll learn the platform. You'll learn the platform so much from posting so much every day, because you'll see what works and what doesn't, and you're like, oh, and then you're like, oh, okay, videos like this do better than videos like this. Videos on this topic seem to resonate with people more than videos on this topic. And you'll start to edit videos better. You'll start to like see where the captions should be. There's so many like micro skills of posting on social media that you can only really learn from doing it. Yeah, of course you could buy a course and it could help you a little bit, and maybe you could follow like the template, but posting by yourself is probably the best way to learn, right? So it's like, you want to be able to post as consistently as you can, because that's how you learn the platforms, that's how you overcome the fear of rejection and judgment, and that's how you make it part of your routine, part of your identity. Because at the end of the day, you have to think of yourself as a content creator to really be successful. Because if you do the things you truly want to do and you're considering what the audience wants, then you're still going to have the short-term growth because you're still feeding what the audience wants, but you're also going to make it sustainable for yourself. Because in the end of the day, like this is the goal of this is to do this for a long time, right? Because you want to be able to express yourself, you want to have this platform, and you also want to make some income doing it. And listen, it's not going to be easy. It's going to take time and effort, especially at the beginning, to really like see yourself as a creator, to really like make progress, to start the TikTok account, to start the YouTube account. But listen, even though it won't be easy, I think it'll be worth it. Life's not easy, but it's worth it. Take care.